I hit the ground hard. A numbing pain flooded through my body as I tried to move. My hands were cut by the broken glass that had exploded across the floor. But staying on the ground, especially here, now, was not an option. I gave it my all, just to get back on my feet. "Come on, legs, let's go," I whispered to myself there in the dark. I knew that he'd be down here any minute now. I really needed to get going, like, now. He threw me through the glass skylight, but he still had to climb back down. Just then, I saw the ominous silhouette in the doorway. My heart was already pumping so hard now. I felt the dread spreading into every muscle, making me feel all of whatever energy I had left was running out, leaving only a strange tingling sensation in its place. But how did he get down so fast? How the hell did I even get into this mess anyway? I'm not sure when. Maybe a day or two ago. My friends Twitch, Spaz, LaFonzarelli, and myself were hitting the lake to take Spaz's dad's new boat out for a spin. "Holy shit, bro! I didn't think it's possible to get up any earlier," I said to Spaz. "What are you talking about? It's like noon," he snorted back. "Well, at least you chose a beautiful day to do this." Shut up and grab those lines," Twitch chimed in. "Whatever." Spaz was right to call us today. It was beautiful. Blue sky, just a few puffy clouds, light winds, and the beautiful expanse of water that lay before us. I chugged the rest of my water bottle to ease the mild, sickly feeling of my hangover and jumped on board. It was a wonderfully restored wooden motor yacht from the 1930s, about 50-ish feet long, but it seemed to moan with the embarkation of each new passenger, as if it knew something we didn't. And every footstep just felt wrong. I was just formulating my thoughts as the sensation washed over me, when Twitch yelled out, "Hey Spaz, where'd your dad get this thing? A cemetery?" We all broke out laughing, as he was holding what looked like an urn he had found in the chain locker at the bow. Twitch had a naturally goofy kind of look about him, and was kind of, well, twitchy, with a hardly noticeable stutter, except when he was very stressed. Spaz is probably what could be described as the nerd of our little gang, and LaFonzarelli was the tall hippie / ladies man. Anyway, it felt good to laugh, as the uneasy feeling since I got on board was all but forgotten, but only for a few seconds. Is that writing on it right there?" Spaz asked, pointing to the middle of the urn. Our smiles faded as intrigue and apprehension took over. We all started getting closer, every footstep instilling an intensifying dread, more intense than before. "Hey, I think you're right," Twitch said, as he wiped away what looked like years of dirt and grime. Then he held it up to look at it better, with the light of the noonday sun. "What the?" he muttered aloud to himself. "There's something else here." Right then I thought I saw something too, like a gray fire wash across the urn, as the letters glowed in evil black from left to right. Then I blinked, and it was gone. Whoa, slipped from my lips. Lafonzarelli took another step forward as he took the joint he was about to light out of his mouth. His eyes widened as he leaned to look closer. "Did you see that?" he asked.
See what?
Twitch was getting really nervous.
I didn't see anything.
"As if," Spaz retorted. Lafonzarelli began to reach for the urn.
Bro, let me see that thing.
As he reached and almost made contact, we all saw and heard like a loud black spark, and the urn erupted in its gray fire under the dirty surface. The black writing now spinning around the outside faster and bigger than before. Lafonzarelli jumped back, Spaz yelled, and Twitch let go. It was like watching the most beautiful TV commercial by the Addams Family in slow motion. Almost peaceful, like the calm before a storm. Comforting, like a familiar depression. Then the urn hit the deck with a thud, pop, and a crash. Whitish gray, what looked to be ashes, shot out in every direction, and a black smoke rose, then dissipated quickly. Next thing I knew, it felt like I was waking up from a dream. My mind wasn't remembering or thinking, but it was like being at ease in a fog full of images that you can't distinguish or remember. It was then that I slowly began to notice and process that the sky wasn't clear anymore, as ever-darkening clouds must have been creeping in quickly without any of us noticing. Were we all so fixated on the urn? In fact, it didn't even feel like it was noon anymore. I brought my gaze back down to look at the others as my mind now flooded with so many questions. My eyes hit the horizon and my heart sank. We weren't at the dock anymore. "What the fuck?" I exclaimed while I began to look around for the others. They looked as bewildered and scared as me. But Lafonzarelli? He was laughing. Just a little at first, but he began to laugh more and more. Then just stopped, as an evil smile crept across his face. He then crouched down and picked up one of the pieces of the now smashed urn and proceeded to slowly cut deep into his hand, drawing more blood than I ever cared to see. It began to drip down and out of his palm and onto the deck where the ashes were, almost all now blown away. As each drop fell, a black flame would appear and swallow it before retreating back to nothing. He also began to stretch taller as what seemed like a shadow or a mist enveloped him, and he began to look more like just a black silhouette, a black hole, or a person that just emerged from a pool of Musso black paint. "You're crazy! Holy shit, man! What the fuck?" Spaz was flipping out. So was Twitch, who stood there stuttering while trying to get out any words of shock possible. Then it happened. The black mass of negative light that was Lafonzarelli began to reach for his waist and paused to speak.
"I am rage,"
he gurgled through his gnarled growl.
"I have been summoned by my master, whom you have desecrated."
A sword of shining black chrome was drawn from the shadow, where Lafonzarelli had none. He focused on Twitch while He spun it around over his head a few times before finishing the last spin with a powerful swing, taking Twitch's head clean off. As if in slow motion, his head hung in the air and spun for a second from the momentum of the blow before hitting the deck with a thud, right next to his body that was twitching violently. I mean, he twitched his way right off the side of the boat. "Spaz, let's get out of here," I yelled, while beginning my sprint towards the dinghy at the back. No sooner than Spaz turned to run, another powerful blow came plowing through his neck, and he fell to the deck. His head tried to roll away, but was still connected by some skin that stopped it from getting too far. I almost made it to the back of the boat when I felt two icy hands land on my shoulders and yank me violently backwards, down and crashing through a skylight that was above an area of the lower deck. I hit the ground hard. A numbing pain flooded my body, but I had to move. "Come on, legs, let's go," I whispered to myself there in the dark. Just then, I saw him, standing in the doorway. But how did he get down so fast? Whatever, it didn't matter. Covered in blood and glass, I managed to get up, fueled by adrenaline. I jumped forward, took a running step toward a chair that I could barely make out in the dark. In one smooth motion, I pushed off the chair and I jumped to grab onto the frame of the now broken skylight. Pulled myself up and out, but not before I felt a sharp pain from my foot. His blade made contact, but stopping now was not an option though, and I now found myself limping towards the dinghy in extreme pain and bleeding profusely. "Come on, come on, come on," I was repeating until I found myself at the back of the boat. I couldn't believe it. I made it. Right then, I heard heavy, fast-paced footsteps approaching. So I didn't wait and leaped in a desperate move towards the little boat. The small dinghy was only loosely tied to the back of the big old boat, and it immediately untied itself as I launched myself on board. I turned around only to see LaFonzarelli, Rage, standing at the stern as I drifted farther and farther. With a nervous laugh, I hesitated to think that I might just make it out alive. Seriously, what was all that just happened? I must have passed out, because the next thing I knew, I was coming to with the sound of seagulls and the side of the boat hitting rocks as the boat rocked gently on the waves that calmly licked the shore. It was morning, probably the next day, as it was a soft, warm sun that I felt drying my crusty, damp clothes. I closed my eyes and let out a sigh. "It's over. Thank God," I said while breathing. I was taking in the moment, trying my best to ignore the pain from, well, everywhere. Then, from on top of a nearby cliff, I heard a guttural yell. It was that familiar voice that was seared in my mind. I wondered if it was my paranoia playing on my imagination. But then, I opened my eyes and saw the black silhouette looking down on me from the cliff. I knew then that I'd never be free. How long can I live like this? And I began to cry.